everybody, happy Thursday. I've been hearing from a lot of my Kenyans that you're not getting notified about my videos when they go live. So make sure that you're not only subscribed, that you also hit that little bell indicator, and that will make sure that you're notified when I release a video. Now today's question comes from Patreon. If you don't know, certain levels on Patreon, they get an extra video each month, and I get a ton of questions each month, and some of those questions I think are wonderful to share with everyone. And so today's question comes from that, and the question is, hey Katie, my parents divorced when I was 12. They screamed and fought with each other for years. I think this has made me extremely fearful of becoming close to anyone because I'm afraid that they may become angry with me eventually and yell like my parents did. It totally makes sense. My question is how to know what a healthy romantic relationship is. Like if you've never been exposed to one before, for example, my parents divorced and I've always had tumultuous relationships with romantic partners since. Also, how do you overcome the fear of ending up in a bad relationship besides avoiding them altogether? Now, there's a lot in this question to unpack. And the first thing that I want to address is that it's very normal for us to worry that we'll have the same relationship as our parents did. But the fact that we even worry about that and consider it and notice certain behaviors that we may or may not do as a result, those are all good signs. That means that we're less likely to even fall into those old habits or old comfortability because that's what we're used to. Just being aware means so much that you're already leaps and bounds ahead, okay? Just had to throw that out there. But to get into the questions, the first portion is how to know what a healthy romantic relationship is if you've never been around one. And I think the first thing that we have to do, and this is what I kind of said in the Patreon video where I briefly answered this, is start instead with friendships. And I know this question is all about romantic relationships, but I am a true believer in the fact that we can't have healthy romantic relationships without first having healthy friendships, because those are an easier, slower build and safer place for us to figure out what's okay for us. And the reason I believe this, and feel free to disagree, is because friendships are a slower build. We usually meet someone casually out with people and we're like, oh, I like that person. They seem very nice. And then we don't really maybe get their number because it's not a quick move like that. But then we see them again and then we're like, hey, I'd like to hang out with you outside the group. It's a very slow, comfortable build. Romantic relationships can be that way too, but there's no expectation of talking every day or getting together every weekend or anything like that. There's no progression with friendships. You can have casual friends you see maybe once every other week. And so I would encourage you first to focus on friendships. And before we even find a friend, I would encourage you to just start socializing with people, which I know can be really hard. And I know particularly the person that asked this question has a tough time socializing in general, but we can start by just saying hi casually to people at work or at school. If we have some people that we encounter each day, like if you go get your coffee from a Starbucks, then next time you're there, strike up a short conversation with the barista. How's your day going? Oh, good. Has it been super busy? Well, it's good to see you. Keep it short and to the point, but it's practice. We have to practice communicating. And from there, so okay, the first step is kind of like finding some people, working on socializing a little bit. Also, I challenge you just to get out. If somebody asks you if you want to go out because they're grabbing food or drinks or whatever, do it. Go for it. It's great practice. Then the second thing is taking some time to consider what's important to you. If you grew up in a really tumultuous family, lots of fighting, I'd assume that you don't want to fight with someone. And that's not something we can put on the list, but we can put on the list clear communication. Yay! I know that's such a therapist thing, but that should be on the list. Maybe it's honesty, loyalty. Maybe we know that our love language, if you wonder what love languages are, I'll link in the description. Maybe we know our love language is words of affirmation. So we want someone who's verbal, who communicates, who affirms us when we need it. Whatever the things are, maybe reliability or consistency, I can name these all day long. But come up with a list of things that are important to you. Try to keep it to like 5 or 6. Keep it short and to the point, and then seek those relationships out. So if you have groups of people that you're around at work or school, notice the people that maybe are more honest or are more communicative, and maybe gravitate towards them, spend more time, check in with them, see how their day is going. So that's the second portion. I'm going to make our list. And because the third thing I'm going to offer up is to put yourself out there, because now we're moving away from friendships and into romantic relationships, we're going to need to learn some ways to self-soothe and calm our system down. because no matter what, first dates are awkward. They are always kind of like interviews, and we don't know the person and we're a little bit nervous, and that's so normal. And we're gonna meet people and go on first dates where we think, oh my God, I can never see that person again. And then we're gonna have other dates where we feel like the time flies by and we get stuck in conversation and we could have spent all night talking to them. You're gonna have all of those varieties, everything in between those extremes. But we have to be able to put ourselves out there, and so we have to know how to get through it calmly. Knowing that if we're ever uncomfortable or someone ever does anything inappropriate, we can always leave, always drive yourself, always meet them there. Those are just some safety things. But that's the next step after building friendships and learning what's important to then building romantic relationships. Know that that list for friendships also applies to that romantic relationship, but you may want to add a few more things to it because romantic relationships are a little bit different, and there are going to be things that might be more important in that type of relationship versus a friendship. And so consider those and maybe add a few more things. But I'm a firm believer that you should be looking for the same things in your friends as you do in a romantic partner. And to answer the final portion of her question where she says, how do you overcome the fear of ending up in a bad relationship besides avoiding them altogether? We're all going to be scared. It's okay to be scared. When we give in to fear and we essentially run away from it or stuff it down and fight it, is when it actually has power and it makes things harder for us. But if we embrace fear and know where it's coming from the fact that I don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. Many of us feel that way. The way to overcome the fear, instead of just avoiding relationships altogether, is write down some of the red flags for you, some of your non-negotiables, some things that you cannot tolerate. Write those down and be aware of them. How could they present themselves in a situation when I'm on a date or something like that? Because we want to be prepared so that if something does come up, even though it might feel comfortable and we might be like, oh, well, I like them and I don't know why. We could tell ourselves, you know what, that's a red flag. That's exactly like my mom is to me, or that's exactly the way that my dad used to speak to my mom. That's the only reason I think that that's good. And we can get out of that situation. By considering the red flags and the kind of behaviors that our parents showed us, we can have more information and a better idea of things to look out for. And don't worry, we're all gonna end up in some shitty relationships sometimes. We're gonna get in fights. I know, I'm sorry, but instead of feeling like you're stuck in it or that this is the only type of relationship that you can have, know that at any time in your life, you have the complete ability to get out of a relationship, to change who you are and how you respond to others, and to try again. No, not many people date one person and then get married. That's really unreasonable. We all learn about ourselves with each step of the way and with each trial in a relationship. And so give yourself the permission to mess up, to trip and fall, to get in a fight with someone and run away, but we can learn from it and we can learn and grow. And so keep all that in mind. I know that's a lot. There's so much to unpack. If you guys want me to talk more about relationships and building healthy, romantic and friendships, let me know in the comments below and share other tips and tricks that you use, because I know that many of us get afraid to be in relationships at all because someone could hurt us, or we could end up just like our mom or father, sister, brother, whomever. And so we just kind of remove ourselves. And I know that we all crave connectivity, love and connection with others. And so it's kind of part of the human process. How do we do it and keep ourselves safe at the same time? I hope you found this helpful. Like I said, leave in the comments your tips and tricks, and I will see you next time. Bye.